Welcome to the SkillRanch. This podcast is designed to equip entrepreneurs, professionals, and consultants with skills to impact tomorrow's work environment. Now here's your host, Bilal.
Hi, this is Bilal Wasim and welcome to the SkillRanch. On today's episode, we are going to talk about on how to lead the toughest person in the world. And who is that person? I was sitting with my friend discussing about an important presentation that he had to give in front of a large company to gain a next business. I asked him the very basic question initially, like what is your knowledge on that company and how much prepared are you for it? And in his response, he told me that I've researched the company, my presentation is almost ready. And I then further asked him, how many rehearsals have you done? Do you feel comfortable delivering the presentation? And he was very confident. He had already done many rehearsals, but I can still feel he wasn't totally prepared for him. And that is where we all tend to worry about. That is the lack of preparation that comes from our inner fears and our ability to be totally confident on our capabilities. And yes, my friends, the toughest person to lead is ourselves. Of course, you are the toughest person to lead in this world, in this room. And when we are trying to lead ourselves, our past discouragements, past failures, inner fears tend to always affect us, and that does not allow us to reach our true potential. And this is a full-time job. We have to motivate ourselves daily, we have to discipline ourselves, protect our integrity, and this list just goes on and on. And there are two reasons behind this. We don't see ourselves as we see others. So if we were to see a successful business person or a successful public speaker, we see where they are at, but not what they have gone through. The journey is a tough one to take. Like everybody of us can dream, but the journey takes an effort. It takes sacrifices, and only then we can attain something that is successful. And secondly, we are harder on others than we are on ourselves. Human nature equips us with the ability to cite everyone in the world except for ourselves. And it is just remarkable to see if you talk with individuals, so many of them lack that awareness. If you talk to younger individuals, they might have chosen a career path just because they saw someone successful in that role from their family, or they chose a role just because they felt that this is something that is going to be successful in the future. But only when you are totally aware of yourself, you see your strengths and your weaknesses, and based upon that, when you make your decision, that is when you will be totally successful and would be motivated to pursue your goal and dream. Just recently, my friend was working with a client who had entrusted him with 200 of his employers and wanted a detailed evaluation of each and every one of them. When he worked with them and finally presented the report to the client, they found out that 8 people out of them needed more help because they didn't had that kind of a realistic perspective of who they truly are and what they can achieve in their life. They all lacked basic awareness. And then they develop a proposal of individual coaching. So coaching is different from mentorship. Coaching is the process where the person goes inside themselves to find out their inner qualities, inner strengths, and then create a plan based upon themselves, and then they follow it through to achieve success. And through the process of coaching, an individual becomes more aware of who they truly are. And in the 15 invaluable laws of growth, John Maxwell says, you must know yourself to grow yourself. So let me share with you few tips on how can you lead yourself better and move smoothly towards your dreams and goal and achieve them. Key to leading yourself. We tend to judge others according to their actions, and it is like very direct, it's very cut. But however, when we judge ourselves by our intentions, even when I blow it, I let myself off the hook because my motives were good. So, how do you lead yourself well? So, let me give you the first takeaway, which is to develop self discipline. I was discussing with my friend who is a senior professional at the moment working in the consultancy industry. So I asked him like how do you go over everything and how do you plan your next day and the next week? And he told me something very important that Bilal, after finishing my work, finishing my day, I sit there for 15 minutes and list down whatever happened in the day, what were the positives, what were the negatives, what thing was completed throughout the day, and what are 1 to 3 important things that I have to do the very next morning. Because when you leave without doing this, when you come back the next morning, you have to go through the things that happened yesterday. And if you haven't gone through that 15-minute rule, then you will be wasting a lot of time planning your day on the next day, which work would have been done well in advance before. And I kind of really relate with this example. Like I recently started my sales career where I'm talking to consultants, where I talk to HR professionals, and I talk to business partners. There's a lot of information flow that is going through both way. I get a lot of advice, I get to learn a lot of new things. So I do take my notes. And then at the end of the day, when I do a pause, I list down the positives, and that really helped me to keep accountability of the different projects that I'm working upon. So, self discipline provides us the ability to lead ourselves. Discipline is simply giving ourselves a command and following it through. And that is what entrepreneurship journey is. Like each and every one of us have ideas on how to develop a successful business or develop a successful project. But then there are very few people who take that idea and want to develop it into a prototype, into a service, into a project. Because when you talk to majority of the people, even after 1 month, 6 months, and all over the year, they still have that same thing that this is an idea, I want to develop it into something great. And if you're waiting for that perfect time to come, it will never come. And that is why many entrepreneurship ideas never make it through. Another story around self-discipline. It is said that one day Frederick the Great of Prussia was walking on the outskirts of Berlin when he encountered a very old man walking ramrod straight in the opposite direction. "Who are you?" Frederick asked his subject. "I am the king," replied the old man. The king, Frederick, of course, really laughed at that. "What kingdom do you rule upon?" And he said, "Over myself," was the proud old man reply. Self-discipline is the highest form of leadership. You are the captain of your ship, the master of your own soul. And leading yourself is a challenge, and one of the places where our true character shows up how you can lead yourself, especially during the current crisis of pandemic. It has really showed which companies had true leaders who had the ability to lead through crisis, and that is where we see success of many companies. And then certain companies didn't make it through that well because they were honestly not that well prepared for it. And friends, there are days when I just want to take a break from keeping myself under control. But this leadership journey, the growth journey, you have to take each and every step, whether it's a tiny step, each and every day to move towards your goal. And now let me share with you the next action you can take to lead yourself well. The second action which we can take to lead ourselves well is to seek accountability. I've heard John say, people who lead themselves well know a secret. They can't trust themselves. Yep, they can't trust themselves. It is when you think you are untouchable that you learn how quickly you can be touched by poor choices and poor decisions. And that is why there are certain leaders that everybody would like to work with them because they create successful leaders. They create people who would be more successful in their life. And on the other hand, there are leaders that you would never want to work with them because they fail to lead themselves and are unable to lead and create future leaders. Do you have an accountability partner or peer group? I know myself, just being aware of an upcoming session with my group, my mastermind group, allowed me to avoid acting on poor decisions because I have to answer them about the choice that I made last week, how much I have moved in that direction. And when we have somebody to hand ourselves accountable, we tend to get that task done. In one of my summer internship at District 3 Innovation Center, we worked on many different projects in groups, and we were all assigned different tasks. So at the end of the day, when we each and every one of us finished our tasks, then within our own group, we used to ask ourselves what worked for us, what didn't work for us today, and how can we improve from today so that we can get that thing done tomorrow. And that was within our group. So this was the perspective on a short group. But then our whole cohort got together at the end of the day and we asked that same question again. And this adds outside perspective. So we four people were working on one project, but those people were working on other project, and getting their advice and their feedback provided us to think in a much broader sense than we were working upon. This way, we were able to provide solutions to our client which were of a broader perspective, utilizing the background of each and every individual and help them get more successful solutions. And Thomas Watson said, nothing so conclusively proves a man's ability to lead others as what he does from the day to day to lead himself. And that is where I will share the story of my John Maxwell team and the coaching partnership program. I got certified in August 2019, and since then I joined the mentorship program. The mentorship program helped me to keep myself accountable on a weekly basis, and that helped me to improve my personal development, my speaking and training, and how I can establish my training and coaching business on the side. Last year, I also joined the coaching partnership program where I was being held accountable with my coach to develop my weekly progress reports and what I can do to improve my business that I'm working upon. And that has helped me to launch this podcast where I bring guests to share their knowledge with my community and help them become successful and achieve their dreams and their goals. And I look forward to working with all of you to add value to you, help you achieve greater influence, impact, and empower you towards your dream. So thank you everyone, and I'm looking forward to having you all on the next episode of SkillRanch podcast.